Huh. Well, I'm just reading this agreement to buy and sell real estate contract, and there is a paragraph in here called mediation. What is mediation exactly? And is it something you agree to when you sign the contract to try to buy a home? Well, that's the topic of our video, and we'll get into that in just a second. I'll be right back. Hello, it's Brian Chandler again with Remax Alliance here in Parker, Colorado. And today we're going to talk about mediation. What is that exactly? And should you have signed that in your agreement when you wanted to buy this home? Because it's in most contracts, listed as one of the paragraphs there. Why is it in there? And how does it benefit or hurt you? Well, mediation is a form of trying to deal with a dispute. So let's say you and the seller have a dispute over something about the property. Let's say you as a buyer move in and after the first rain, you have a leaky roof and the seller didn't tell you that there was any problems with the roof. So you're like, well, we want you to fix it. And the seller goes, well, I didn't know it leaked. I hadn't lived in the property for a year. I just told you what I was aware of. And you're like, well, that's not good enough. We need to figure out what to do here. So if you can't settle it in discussion, then the first step would be to go to mediation. Now, mediation is the least expensive way to go in that you both will decide on a mediator. You both will share the costs of the mediator. And his job or her job is to sit there and listen to both sides of the story, try to get you to see the other person's point of view, and come up with some form of a compromise. Now, that's not binding. The mediation is not binding, but relies on you coming to an agreement. So even if you two come to an agreement and write it out saying, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do, the mediation cannot bind that legally. So it's just a form to try to get things started. If you cannot come to terms with mediation, we'll go into this a little bit in the contract and I'll show you what it says exactly here. So we have mediation. You meet with an impartial person who helps resolve the dispute informally and confidentially. Mediators cannot impose binding decisions, as I just said. Before any mediated settlement is binding, the parties to the dispute must agree to the settlement in writing. Now, once again, if you can't come to an agreement here during mediation, then your next step is to do things through the legal process, through arbitration, which is binding. The arbitrator will basically do the same thing, listen to both sides, and they'll come up with a decision on how it's going to be handled, and that is binding. Or you, of course, can go to litigation, which is court, and that obviously becomes more expensive as well. So as you go from mediation to arbitration to litigation, the costs become fairly exorbitant at that point. So what you obviously want to do is start with mediation first, see if you can come to terms and that. Now, that still doesn't prevent, let's say you are in a situation where the home isn't closed yet, you haven't closed the escrow, you haven't moved in, the seller's still in the property, and you come up with some dispute at that point. Then you can go ahead and start mediation, but you can also do some other things. You can still file a lawsuit, or you can file what they call a lis pendens. It's listed right down here, lis pendens against the property, meaning that that will go on title and the seller cannot sell the property to someone else and close as long as the lis pendens is there. So it's a way to prevent and possibly even put some pressure on the seller to remedy the situation or the dispute. So that's what we're dealing with as far as mediation. Should you sign it in your agreement or not sign it in your agreement? There's no right answer. You can sign it or not sign it. It's totally up to you. It does become a least expensive way of trying to settle a dispute, however. So it's something to think about and maybe discuss with your attorney. Your realtor is not an attorney, so they can't advise you legally. Also wanted to let you know, briansells.us, that's one of my websites. Please come by and take a visit, do some property searches, get a home evaluation of your home, look for some market updates. Happy to help wherever I can. Feel free to give me a call. I'm here in Parker, Colorado. I don't care where you're located in the U.S. If you have a question, if you need some help, you'd like an opinion, I'm happy to help you. By all means, just give me a call, 720-808-1007. Of course, it's on the website, and we'll put up a little banner here on this video for you too. So until next time, it's Brian Chandler signing off. By the way, subscribe to the channel here and click the bell. That way you'll be notified of any more tips I put up that might be useful to you. Hope you found this useful. Take care. Until next time. See ya.